Hey, all you world changers out there. Shawn here. Happy Tuesday morning. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Maine. I want to talk to you for a couple of minutes about something that I call the observer self and the four perspectives that an observer must take in order to increase their influence and effectiveness as an agent of positive change in their own lives or in the lives of others. So whether you're trying to help yourself or help somebody else out, maybe a client or a family member or a child, one of your own children, or just somebody that you know and care about, um, before you can do that, you need to understand there's three roles, right? You're a participant, just like a plant that grows in a garden is a participant. It's taking part um, of what is there in its environment, right? So the environment needs to be fertile. And one of the big things that's different about you than other creatures on planet Earth, like plants and animals, is that you're actually capable of observing what's happening to you and observing and reflecting upon what's going on in front of you, right? You can assess your circumstances for their nutrient-rich content or toxicity. You can evaluate the things that are happening in your life for whether they're good for you or not. And then you can take action to create a positive change, right? Which would mean being intentional because you're always inadvertently changing things anyways just by being present. Maybe you're changing them for bad, maybe you're changing them for good accidentally, but we want you to do it on purpose with a goal and outcome in mind. So before you can do that, you need to cultivate your ability to observe. And this is a psychological or mental skill, okay? And you'll notice that several people struggle with this, different types of people. One of them is people who have had issues in the past with substance abuse. You might notice that they tend to focus on the present moment a lot, and they have a hard time thinking about what's coming up in the future. This is just my opinion based on my observations working with different people. So I don't have a reference for that. So just take that part with a grain of salt. But my point is that everyone can cultivate these skills. Another type of person that gets stuck is someone who's, kind of being abusive um, and controlling. They often seem to be stuck in that selfish orientation. They're just seeing how things affect them, but they don't care about others. And that's the first perspective that we all need to learn. First person perspective is seeing things from your point of view, right? How are things affecting Shawn today? And that's an important piece that hopefully you learn as a child, right? As a toddler, how are things affecting me? Second person perspective is seeing things from the point of view of other people. So being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. You might remember your mom or dad teaching you that as a kid, right? And people who get stuck here often end up being other centered or other focused, right? They get trapped in codependency and being responsible for other people's feelings and behavior and choices, which they're really not, of course. They just think they are. So you don't want to get stuck in either of those two places because they're not the whole picture. The third person perspective that I talk about is that ability to rise above your situation, to kind of project yourself up into the sky and take a bird's eye view, looking down at everything that you see as you're flying over it, right? If you are like a bird flying across the sky, looking down on yourself and others, interacting at work, at school, what would you see? Each of those people, rather than seeing us as people in that situation, you would see them as parts of a system, right? Or pieces of a puzzle, all interacting with each other and having an effect on one another. And that effect might be good or bad. The last perspective that's really the most important, and it's difficult to learn, but not that difficult, you could definitely learn it, is if you've ever been in an airplane, you have an advantage because it's taking that really big point of view. Uh, like looking out of an airplane window in the past for me, I would look down and you can see the highway beneath you. And it's just like looking at a long little piece of, string or something, or like a little not string, but just a miniature highway. And you can see the cars and trucks on the highway, and they're all traveling in a certain direction, right? Well, the thing about being in the airplane and looking down on the situation is I can see like a few miles of road the whole way, right, from one town to another. But the guy that's in the truck carrying the food or whatever to a grocery store from here to here, he doesn't know that up ahead, about a mile away, there's a car accident. And he's going to be late for getting to his destination unless he takes a detour or finds a way around this issue, right? So you could think of each of those little cars on the highway as being like a group of people interacting together, just like we just talked about in the last perspective. So think of them as separate systems, all interacting along the same trajectory, moving in the same direction towards a goal or a common destination, which would be well-being and flourishing, usually. And specifically the different forms of that. You know, for some people that's one thing, for some people that's another. But an example of this might be Thanksgiving is coming up, and you and your household want to have your party at your place, but your grandparents want to have it at their place, and your mom wants to have it at her place. So these are three different systems all interacting, and up ahead, they're going to have a conflict when they all can't have their party at the same place. So they're going to have to find a way, think ahead of the game for a solution to that outcome, a solution to that problem, so that they can facilitate a win-win outcome when they finally get to that moment of truth and they have to deal with that problem. You might have heard that statement, "We'll cross that bridge when we come to it." Well, this is an example of doing that. Only instead of waiting until you get to the bridge to cross it, you're thinking about it ahead of time mentally, and so that when you get there, it's a real smooth transition, and you don't have to encounter any opposition or problems in the same way as you would have if you had not thought about it at all. So don't be short-sighted, right? And that's what this is all about. All right, those are the four perspectives of the observer, and you're going to want to try to cultivate those in order to increase your influence and effectiveness as a change agent. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.